Alright, so I have another brother here called Bolu. Yeah. And anytime Africans meet, especially the Ghana Niger vibe, we connect as if we're all from the same mother. So Bolu, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Right, so as we also climb the ladder of life, it's also prudent for us to also inspire our junior brothers and sisters down there who also want to look up to us and also follow the same drill. You've been in the UK for about 4 years now, Leeds University. If you don't mind, you could just share your journey with us, how it all started, what led to your decision to choose a UK university over the Scandinavian or over the US, and how has the journey been, more especially that there is a perception back at home that Ghana, no, UK is a tough place to be. It's very expensive. So if you could just share your fun moments, your tough moments, how you've been able to weather through the hot waters. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much, JP. It was nice meeting you at this conference. So, yeah, it's quite an interesting journey over time. And talking about why I chose the UK, well, I think primarily was two factors. First is some of my lecturers back in the department in Nigeria, the school I studied for my bachelor's degree in Nigeria. Some of them were like, given the kind of drawing on their interaction with me, they feel I would benefit a lot more from an advanced degree or further studies in the UK, and in terms of the expertise, the kind of training, the quality of training I'll be able to get in the UK would be very good for me. And then the other factor was the fact that I've always known about the London School of Economics, and I've read a few things about, I've read books of and publications of some authors from LSE, and I think that primarily spurred my interest. And so somewhere in my mind, I really wanted to go to LSE, and thankfully, I started exploring different opportunities, and yeah, I came through and got funding and went there, and so that sort of gave me a soft landing, getting to the UK.
So has it been like settled in your first few times? Were there cultural shocks?
Yeah.
How did you settle in?
Yeah, interestingly, at the time, I came in during COVID. It was just a few months after COVID after the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdowns in Nigeria and then in the UK at the time. So when I got to the UK for the first time, I had to isolate myself. There was a compulsory 2 weeks isolation, which I did. And
that should be very tough.
That made it very.
I hope you did not get depressed.
No. I was, during that period, I was trying to catch up with classes online. I was trying to get some of my, open a bank account, to get other things sorted. So that got me a little bit busy, but it wasn't. As it was a little challenging because getting a place to stay, to isolate as a new entrant was made it a little challenging. But after that phase, I started mixing up and blending with the culture. Of course, a lot of things were new to me at the time.
The food, I'm sure you couldn't get to eat the eba, the ogbono soup.
Exactly. Yes. So it was after a few months that I knew the different markets where I could get
the African
food, and so it was at that point I started feeling like started trying to blend or integrate the kind of food they use there and my African delicacies. So, but then that blend started happening at that point. But I know a lot of other students, those that find it most challenging are students without funding. In the UK, it can be really, really challenging, and I saw lots of students who struggled having to, because some of them come in with the hope that they'll get a job, work part-time, and use that to raise funds for their fees, for their tuition, and for living expense. And it's not just about paying the tuition. Living expense is really expensive, especially if you're in London. I was in London, your housing was expensive. And every other thing it wasn't as easy as what you get in some other cities that are relatively cheaper to live in. So, but you have to think about working to pay your tuition, working to survive, to pay your living expense, rent, and other bills. It can be very, very challenging for students. So it sort of distracts lots of students to combine all of those things at that very initial stages.
So would you advise anyone who is aspiring to maybe come to UK to ensure that he or she gets the funding first before considering relocating or moving to UK to pursue any higher education?
Yeah, I would say it depends on a number of factors actually. First, I think it would. There are different. Yeah, I would say there are different ways to it. It's very good to get funding, explore funding opportunities. But the thing is, in the past few years, the funding landscape has gotten really crazy and competitive.
Yeah, like the demand outweighing supply.
I'm telling you, it's very, very competitive now, and the chances are not as what you would have gotten before. It's possible. And one of the things I tell people is you can measure by yourself if you think you've got a profile or the kind of experience and overall profile that would earn you very good funding. You know, some people just probably think with a first class or bachelor's degree and that's all you need. No, I think you need a lot more. Even I've seen students without first class, I've seen students with 2-1, 2-2, second class, get funding. But so those other students were able to use other things to offset. Some used loads of volunteering experience, loads of community impact, leadership experience, research experience, publications. A lot of those things really help to demonstrate expertise and to give an average student a competitive edge for funding. So that's one. But for other people that are looking to probably self-fund, I usually encourage, trying to cover as much of the tuition fee as you can, before you proceed to resume.
Okay.
And before you resume for studies, I mean, if you can cover at least 50% of the tuition. Some students, because some universities will give you the opportunity to spread payments and all that. Some just come in with the hope that they'll get a job too, and they'll pay the tuition over the 1 year masters if it's a master's program. But it's sometimes not as easy as that for some people.
And do you see a sharp contrast between the academic system back in Nigeria and in the UK? Do you really fit in at once, or you had to do some backup works or extra works before you could fit into the UK academic life?
No, though it took a lot of extra work. It's not like there was so much difference, but I would say the demands are quite different. What they want to see in the UK is quite different from what probably your lecturers back in Nigeria or elsewhere might be looking for. And also this varies across disciplines. The quality of, for those in the sciences and engineering, those involved in some lab and practical work, the kinds of equipments and resources that they have access to in the UK also elsewhere might be actually way more than what they've got back home. And there are updated technologies and updated facilities in the UK that some students could find really challenging, that probably they were not exposed to where they were coming from. So mostly people or students have a lot of catching up to do. And so for me personally, of course, I'm in the social sciences and I had to do. I remember there was a particular week that I did some kind of boot camp for myself where I was studying the system at LSE. I was trying to understand what the expectations are. I consulted several of the services they have. They have career there are student services and for help for essay writing and all of those services, trying to understand what their expectations really are. So I committed like a week to that, and that really helped give me a good grasp of the expectations.
That was something good to do.
Yeah,
it's been nice talking to you.
Thank you.
We'll definitely catch up on your social life system in our next episode, and how you were able to look at the Nigerian market, the African market, and the rest. Well, thanks. Yeah.